Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, we'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Yusuff versus Barboza. But before we get into the full card of predictions, let's recap last week's card. And so last week's card, it wasn't a stellar card, but 60 of 10, I guess. I'm not saying 60 of 10, but 6 of 10 or 60%. That's actually a very decent number, at least for if you want to say I guess a standard, I guess, to I don't know what I'm trying to say with it, but it's a good average, or at least a good base for an average. Like you want to kind of have you anywhere in the 60s or above, that's a good range you want to be at. It's probably like the floor of the good range you want to be at, but it's okay, especially given that my parlay hit and on bet wise I did pretty well. So 60%, it's a couple, matter of fact, with a lot of wild things that happen on the card, and in fact to still go positive, +2 overall and 60%, and then do well on the bets. And the parlay hit. So the parlay I did for last week's card was it was JJ Aldrich, it was Pfeiffer, and it was Algio. And that parlay hit. And it went smooth. I think all the fighters I picked on that parlay, they won in not really complete dominant fashion, but they won. It wasn't no real controversy. It was like clear they won. Either they finished the fight, which Pfeiffer did, and Algio and Aldrich clearly won that fight. So it was good. And I think all the predictions for those were spot on. So solid card, where it mattered. So solid card. And how'd you do with it, NickyBets?
Yeah, man, it was a horrible weekend for me. I don't really care to relive it. I stopped counting after the fourth person loss that I had picked. And to be honest, last week it was kind of a funky week for me anyway. Like I don't think I was as on point as I'd like to be. To be honest, I might as well have went 0-12. That's the way I look at it. I love it when you hit the bet. I love it when you hit the parlay because I always make money off that. That's why I love doing the podcast. It gives me a better insight into what I'm actually looking at. What do you think's next for Joaquin Buckley?
Buckley, I think he has a whole lot of options of fights to have, to be honest. I feel he could try to jump ahead and try to have a bigger name because he still had that, one of the greatest knockouts in UFC history. So he has a name and image to him a bit. So he could try to jump ahead and say, "Oh, I want to fight this big name. I want to fight this guy, fight that guy." Like, I'm trying to think of a name. Who the guy who just beat Kevin? Matter of fact, he could try to rematch Kevin Holland. That's a possibility for him. He could try to rematch. Not rematch. He could try to rematch Kevin Holland. He could try to jump ahead and fight. I'm forgetting the dude who just beat Kevin Holland, but he got options. But I feel the best thing for him to do is stay. Take it slow. He's young enough. I think he's not even 30 yet. So take it slow. Don't try to jump ahead too much. Fight people around the level of Alex Morono and stuff. Kind of stick on that level, get like 2 more wins, and then start to try to jump ahead. But I feel he might try to jump ahead and start trying to fight like legit top 15 fighter, legit top 10 fighter. I think he can't fight like number 13, 14, 15, but if he try to jump in and fight top 10, I think that's too soon for him, and it'll probably not work out for him. But yeah, other than that, I can't really think of any specific name for him right now, but I would say the less name value, the better for him right now, and just keep piling wins. As a matter of fact, don't just look for wins, look for a statement, like, go out there and knock the guys out, submit them, wrestle them, or do something that's going to make a statement and get some knockout of the night bonuses, some fight of the night bonus, some, just get some bonuses and get your name out there, stay busy, instead of trying to, fight the best guys and get injured and lose and take these setbacks. Because, get a more adjusted weight class and pile up some wins. That's what I would recommend for him, in my honest opinion. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the Kevin Holland fight is definitely makes the most sense considering he lost to him. If he wants to fight in, say, the top 15, like you said, I think he shouldn't go. I think he shouldn't go below 11 or even around 11 because Ian Gary's a beast, dude. Maybe Jack Della Maddalena, either him or Neil Magny would be a good fight. Michael Chiesa. I think the fight that makes the most sense that probably everybody would want to see and would probably hold the biggest value to, the UFC and everybody involved is the Kevin Holland fight. That's definitely what I would suggest. And I think that was a good point. What do you think's next for Joe Pyfer, man? He looked amazing on Saturday.
Yeah, he looked good, but I think he did what he was supposed to do. He could, in my honest opinion, he could look better because he did have Al Hassan, chopping it and chewing his legs up a little bit earlier. I don't really like that. He probably could have finished his fight a little bit earlier, but you know, a win's a win. Like he got a statement done. Don't matter if it's a little bit patchy. You know, that's what happened. You rather have some patchy wins and, you know, take a little bit of adversity in fights as opposed to just get all the way to the top without facing adversity. Then you get face adversity at the top, and then you just fold the moment you face adversity because you didn't face it coming up. But again, limited adversity. He did what he did for the most part. But there are definitely things to nitpick from that fight. For Pyfer, I definitely think they kind of forced him ahead. You know, maybe top 10 fight. Like right now, I'm struggling to recognize like names that are near him that will make sense. And
Can I
also
give you a
just like,
few?
yeah, give me a few.
Paul Craig, Chris Curtis. Paul Craig's number 12. Chris Curtis is number 13. Andre Muniz is 14, and Anthony Hernandez is 15. I don't even recognize the last two names.
I recognize all the names. I forgot what they were in the thing. I think Hernandez could be a good name for him, but I feel like Hernandez has been streaking for a long time, so he's probably not going to take that fight. Paul Craig, I think he got a fight tied up. He's fighting Arnold. He's fighting I forget the dude's first name.
He's main
Allen.
eventing something, yeah.
Yeah, he's fighting
Brendan
Allen.
Brendan
Yeah,
Allen?
Brendan Allen, not Arnold.
Yeah.
He's fighting Brendan Allen, so he's tied up. So a lot of those names are tied up currently. I think Hernandez was supposed to fight someone, but that fight fell through. So a lot of those guys that were mentioned are currently tied up. But yeah, Paul Craig wasn't busy, but I think even Muniz is tied up. I feel like Muniz would be a good name because Muniz had some hype around him, and he clearly choked with underneath his hype, and it seemed like his career, at least as a future prospect contender, is done. So feed him to another future prospect contender or current
What do you
prospect
think
contender.
about Bo Nickel?
I think Bo Nickel's all right, but he ain't fought nobody yet at all. Like legit ain't fought no one yet. And he got too much undeserved hype. I know his wrestling pedigree is good and stuff. His wins looked impressive, but who did he beat? Yeah, so Bo Nickel, he still ain't ready to fight nobody yet. I mean, he could fight somebody, but there's no need to try to thrust me or he should fight Khamzat Chimaev. Like, who have you fought? You beat a 5'4" Walmart worker who lift weights on the side. Like, you didn't really beat no one. So he beat one dude like that. Yeah, he hasn't fought no one as far as in the UFC go. He probably trained some people. He looks good in the gym, probably training with Jorge Masvidal and training with a lot of people that we don't know he trained with, at least not by video footage, less by word of mouth. Like, he probably destroying people behind the scenes. But it's always people like that. Todd Duffy at one point was destroying people behind the scenes. But Todd Duffy didn't really become nothing. Like, he had a great, not a great, he had an okay career, but never lived up even to a margin of the hype that he had. So it don't really mean nothing until you really do it in the cage, and he ain't done nothing in the cage against no one really of note or credit. So yeah, I think it's time for him to start fighting a real name, maybe. Like, fighter, not like maybe a top 20 opponent, maybe even top 15 opponent, maybe a Gerald Machart. Well,
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Machart has his ups and downs, but Machart would be a good fight for him. I think a good test for him. He should win and at least be a recognizable name, and like, oh, he beat someone who's legit, or at one point was legit. So
right.
And also the fact that so I feel like he could fight Machart. He could fight the winner of Petroski versus matter of fact, the best fight for him right now would be the winner of Petroski versus Pereira. That would be a good matchup for him because they're right at that level. And also, whoever wins that fight would be an interesting stylistic matchup for him because Petroski kind of similar, mirrors him a lot, and Pereira, coming from a different weight class, is going to be an interesting challenge dealing with that speed and technique on the feet. But what you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think for Joe Pyfer, I think Bo Nickel could be a good potential matchup. I don't think he should, if he's offered that fight, he should just say that he's sick. I don't think Joe Pyfer would lose in spectacular fashion to Bo Nickel, but I do think if Bo Nickel utilizes his wrestling, he just takes everybody down like Khamzat Chimaev. And I think you're right. I don't think that Bo Nickel has done enough to get it. I think he should fight probably Gerald Meerschaert. I think that's a beautiful pick for Bo Nickel. But for Joe Pyfer, I think the Andre Petroski Michelle Pereira fight, the winner should fight Joe Pyfer.
Pyfer won't fight Petroski. They training partners.
Oh yeah.
It's a good matchup for Bo Nickel because he's not training those guys, and they aren't like really ranked or really doing nothing exceptional in the weight class.
Right.
So I think Pyfer's like a couple fights away from what's name. So right now Pyfer should be rightfully respected to dog Bo Nickel if they fought right now because he actually has been putting in work, whereas Bo Nickel has just been legit beating bums. But if Bo Nickel, like, they could beat his training partner Petroski, or can beat the Pereira, whoever wins that fight, or Patterson wins, get him a sharp, get the winner of that fight, then
Right.
I feel like that fight could really be fasting to happen. But I definitely know Petroski and Piper won't fight unless it's probably like for a number one contender fight, which I don't think that's gonna happen. I just don't see Petroski really measuring up right now.
Right. Yeah. I think that you're 100% on that one. What do you think's next for Dawson? Grant Dawson.
Dawson, I think he needs to take a step back. Another fighter who's been skidding, or at least been skidding, he has one skid, at least one official skid. He just lost to Bobby Green. Maybe a Jalen Turner might be a good matchup, because Jalen Turner had a lot of hype, but then he's starting to lose a lot of fights, and it'll be a good question for him. Like, you finally beat a grappler. Like, you seem to struggle a lot with grapplers, or people who grapple you. So maybe that'd be a good fight for him. Jalen Turner could be a good matchup for him. Maybe a Dariush could be a good matchup for him, because Dariush is like, probably needs a win to bounce back. They're both like on one fight losing streak. But I think Dariush already has a fight, I believe, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, he definitely needs a bounce back fight. No need to rush him ahead. I think the absolute best thing for him to do, maybe get like a scrub on short notice who just comes in from like some dark league, and he just comes in there and he beats them and just like gets a real quick finish. Then he just like builds his confidence back up. Because it's not like he was ever a true contender. Like, he was piling up wins, and he was like, oh, he's one fight away from a title shot. He was not in that position. He was close. It was like a fight that's gonna put him kind of in that next level. But the fact that he lost his fight, he's not really obligated to fight the best of the best. He's like, oh, I could fight, the bum of the week. They bring a guy from out of any organization. Like, who is this guy? They just brought this random guy from this organization who all his wins are over guys that are 0-100, and they just bring him on short notice. And Grant Dawson just take him down and submit him in like 2 minutes. So he could do that, or he could just, again, maybe move a little bit laterally instead of upward. Matter of fact, even Dariush kind of sounds upward. Dariush was like, literally, he probably earned a title shot, but he decided to fight Charles Oliveira instead. So, or he really earned one, but the UFC said you got to fight Charles Oliveira. So even Dariush is above him, I would feel. So I definitely think, matter of fact, I think he needs to take a step back and, get his head back on the shoulders, get 2 more wins, and then kind of, run this scenario back with maybe another fight around the same level. Is Bobby Green, another veteran up there, and then get back, and then he jumps to, maybe trying like 2 more fights away from a title shot, or, put himself in that kind of position. But right now, he needs to take some step backs. He needs to reevaluate, because he's not there right now. But how you feel?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the best move for him is to probably take 6 months to a year off of fighting, not training, but fighting, and build up like you said, 1 or 2 wins that look good, and then the rematch with Bobby Green would be nice. I think Jalen Turner's a great option, and I know Dan Hooker's ranked number 8, but I think that could also be a potential good matchup for Grant Dawson. But yeah, I think giving him a break and letting him reevaluate his entire situation is his best move at this point. So Bobby Green winning at 37. What do you think's next for him? He's ranked number 13 now. I don't think
I
he
think
had a
it's like,
ranking.
yeah, I think he was ranked. I think at one point he might have been ranked, but as far as before this fight, he wasn't ranked. But or currently wasn't ranked prior to this fight. But right now, I think it's a great win for him. But to be honest, I don't think it really changes his trajectory in the sport at all. I'm not gonna see him like pull off some great run and become a champion or become a title contender at this age. I think he can maybe pull off a couple more upset wins at best. But yeah, I just don't see it really measure up too much. I see he gets a good win. He gets put in a good spot. But I just feel like he's going to be used as a device to maybe build up another fighter who's coming off a loss. I know a fighter who he possibly could beat is Dariush. I feel like his hands are very sharp. And Dariush is very chinny and don't have the best defense. So I feel like Bobby Green can go out there and starch him, maybe jump way ahead. I think that's a big win for him. But I think, what's his name? The Gamrot's probably going to wrestle him. He probably lose to Fiziev again. Probably another close competitive fight. Maybe even get caught and finish in that fight. But yeah. Or maybe take a Poirier, get a rematch with Poirier, lose to him again or something like that. But yeah, I don't really see him going too far with it. Like, no insult to him, no disrespect to him. I just don't see at this age. And with his I don't know, with everything that's all that makes up him, I just don't see him being able to stack enough wins to really make no change in his career. But hey, He got a good win. No luck, no fluke. He won. He did what he had to do. He got it done. It was better in the night. But as far as sustaining this, the fire of this win and the success of this win, I just can't see it. But how you feel?
Yeah, I feel for Bobby Green because he looked spectacular. He proved everybody wrong. I sprinkled a little bit on him to win it by knockout in the first round just because it was so ridiculous, and I didn't ever think I was going to win that one. I just did it because the odds were so ridiculous that like I had to at least give it a shot, considering that a lot of upsets have been happening. The Sean Strickland, the last probably 2 months we've seen a lot of upsets or situations where we were like, wow, I didn't think that was going to happen. The Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, the kick to the head, like I anticipated Dustin Poirier winning that one. I do think that the fight this weekend is going to be similar to the Bobby Green Dawson fight, because I think the Sadiq Yusuff, Edson Barboza, I think if you sleep on someone who's that skilled, or you give them even a moment's break, they'll capitalize on it and they'll win. And that's what Bobby Green did. That's what Justin Gaethje did. That's what Sean Strickland did. So I think Bobby Green probably fighting a Jalen Turner would be a really cool fight, because they're both strikers, and they're both Bobby's really flashy and Jalen Turner's really long. So I think that would be a really cool experience to see those two fight. But outside of that, I honestly I think that you're probably right. He's probably just going to get fed to the wolves in some form or fashion, and we're gonna see something happen. And but all the power to the man. He did an awesome job. But yeah, let's get started with the card.
All right, so now onto the fight prediction. So in our first fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, we got Ashley Yoder versus Emily Ducote. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going average confidence. Emily Ducote to beat Ashley Yoder. I just see this is very similar to the JJ Aldrich versus Montana De La Rosa fight. I feel like Yoder is just like she's kind of a lanky, long body fighter who's a wrestler, but not a very good one as far as MMA goes, or and has not had the great success. Hasn't been very active. I think Ducote has good wrestling defense, and she's a much more technical striker. So again, very similar to the De La Rosa fight. So I think she'll be able to keep this on the feet. And I think she outstrikes Yoder and beats her to a decision. So Yoder is tough. She has okay wrestling, but is she all that great with it? Is she all that successful with it? And going with Ducote, who does have some pretty solid takedown defense, I think, yeah, keeps on the feet, outstrikes her, beats her to a decision. So in this one, I have Emily Ducote via decision. Now over to NickyBets.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Ashley Yoder definitely has got grit. She's tough. She's definitely got some skills. But she's 1-4 of her last 5. Her record overall is 8-8. She's lost every fight or won every fight by decision, whether it was a split decision, unanimous. It's always by decision, at least in the UFC. So I think betting over 1.5, which is going to be my bet, I think that bet hits 90% of the time. I think both fighters kind of go to decision. I think that Emily could probably catch her. She's a fighter who lands more than 6.5 strikes per minute and absorbs 8.38. So it makes me second guess Ducote a little bit, but I think I'm gonna go Emily Ducote in this one and give it to me by decision, because it looks like that's both fighters' area that they kind of draw to.
All right, cool. Now to our next one, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Chris Gutierrez versus Alatengheli. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going low confidence. Chris Gutierrez to beat Alatengheli. I feel like this fight does got a little bit of suspicion around it, because I don't know if Alatengheli is going to go back to his wrestling, which could make this fight very interesting. And sometimes Chris Gutierrez does let off the gas, so even if he doesn't go to his wrestling, or maybe he just goes for one takedown and decides to, Alatengheli decides to go for one takedown, secures that, he gets still around and win a controversial close decision. I definitely could see that in the works, if that happens. I mean, I definitely could see that as a possibility. Yeah, Chris Gutierrez is a very solid fighter, but he's not as thorough as you would want him to be. And this is not like the easiest style matchup for him. but I do think he should win. Not putting a whole lot of confidence and probably zero investment in this one. But I think Chris Gutierrez is the better fighter. And I don't think Alatengheli's wrestling is all that great. But again, I think it's is enough that it could possibly be the X factor that allows him to win a close decision over Gutierrez. But I think Gutierrez should be solid enough to be a defender takedown. And I think coming off that loss, I think he'll be a little bit more motivated and a little bit more on his P's and Q's. But I still think Alatengheli will make this a competitive fight. He does got heavy hands as well. So a lot of stuff to respect on both sides. But I think Gutierrez is the better overall fighter, grappling, striking. Just got to work on that wrestling defense and got to work on activity and being consistent with that. But I think he'll come prepared. I think he'll be able to mix his leg kicks in there, mix his striking in there. And I think he'll be able to maintain the pace better than Alatengheli. I feel like Alatengheli doesn't have the best pace or conditioning typically. I feel like he fades a lot of times, especially when he starts to get hurt. So yeah, I think Chris Gutierrez will be able to sting him, land the cleaner, consistent shots, mix it up high and low, and start to start to separate himself from Alatengheli down the stretch. So in this one, I got Chris Gutierrez via decision. Not over to NickyBets.
Yeah, you definitely took most of what I was thinking and said it about both fighters. Chris Gutierrez, he's 19-4. He lands almost 5 punches per minute, which is solid, and he only absorbs about 2.75, which is low, especially the fact that he's able to land almost 2.5 more times than he's getting hit. I do think he's a great striker. I think that he has some work to do, but I think he knows what to do in most situations. I think he does well. I think that he definitely will learn from his loss, and I think Alatengheli, I think he's got really solid leg kicks. He's a great kicker, and I think he definitely will make this a battle. So Alatengheli, he lands 6.88 punches per minute, or no, 1.75 punches per minute, and absorbs 4.5. So I think that's where the discrepancy is. I think that's where Chris Gutierrez will shine. Both fighters are 4-1, which is a really good record. But I think if Chris is more technical, he's going to win, and I think he can be more technical. And I think you're right. I think this goes to decision. So give me Chris Gutierrez by decision.
All right, cool. Now to our next one, we have in the women's bantamweight division, we got Irina Alekseeva versus Melissa Dixon. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going average confidence Irina Alekseeva to beat Melissa Dixon. Yeah, with this one, both women are pretty sloppy on the feet. And, this fight, I think definitely go to the ground. Depending on no matter who initiates it, it's going to the ground, whether it be Melissa Dixon throwing punches, falling over and trying to get like a body lock and dragging to the ground, or Irina Alekseeva throwing sloppy punches and falling going for a body lock, or maybe pulling guard or whatnot. But either way, I see this kind of wild sloppy fight on the feet, but eventually going to the ground. And I think Alekseeva just has for better competition. I think she's the more opportunistic grappler and the more well-rounded grappler. It's like Dixon is kind of like a heavy sloppy top grappler, whereas Alekseeva can actually attack submissions at a very, a pretty decent level for women's MMA and women's bantamweight MMA. And what I think is going to happen, I think there'll be a lot of like sloppy striking, a lot of wild exchanges, a lot of scrambling. But I think in the scramble, Irina Alekseeva is going to do better in those situations. She's going to be able to attack submissions. And I think she catches like in a leg lock or a submission, like either way through a scramble, and taps out Melissa Dixon in the second round. So in this one, I have Irina Alekseeva via second round submission. Not over to NickyBets.
Yeah, I have Irina inside the distance. I don't know how she wins the fight, but I think she does. She's 5-1 fighting a fighter who's 5-0. But I think the one loss will be to Irina's advantage. I think that gives her the ability to change up and evolutionize her skills inside the cage. And she lands 8.25 punches per minute, which is really good. I like this matchup. I think you're right. I think Dixon is more sloppy. I think she's a mediocre fighter at best, especially when it comes to the UFC. I think the UFC has to fill fights, and sometimes they give fillers that look good, but I don't know if Melissa Dixon has the experience to beat Irina or the skills. I definitely see this getting done inside the distance. I think both fighters will fight and make it interesting, but I definitely got Irina inside the distance.
All right, cool. Now to our next one, we have in the lightweight division, we got Terrence McKinney versus Brendan Marotte. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going high confidence Terrence McKinney to beat Brendan Marotte. And I just think Brendan Marotte is just not UFC level. I don't know why they bringing him in here. I looked at his fight. I was not impressed at all. He looks very much like a guy that's like a regional scene fighter or even lower level than that. Seen him get hurt by guys that weren't very good. Seen him in very bad position in a lot of these fights. His record might look decent on paper, but level competition has been good. And as far as the wins over these level competition has not been stellar at all, to be honest. So I think this is another type of level of fighter that Terrence McKinney will just run right through, by whatever means he wants to do it. But seeing this guy get rocked on the feet so many times, I think Terrence McKinney's going to knock him out. I don't think he really has no real power to respect for McKinney to respect, so he has to kind of stay off and maybe level change to avoid the counterback. I feel like McKinney can go out there and just unload on him and get him out of there first round. So it's not only time I think he submits people maybe when there's something to respect on the feet. And I just don't see that from there. Unless McKinney just wants to mix it up and go for a submission. But yeah, I don't see nothing for him to necessarily have to respect. Obviously, you got to respect to some degree. But as far as really immediate danger, I'm not really seeing it from this guy. So Terrence McKinney first round TKO. So in this one, I got Terrence McKinney via first round TKO. Now over to NickyBets.
Yeah, I love this fight, mainly because Terrence McKinney is fighting. He's won me a lot of money, and I've lost, once, I think, from one of his fights, but I think he's learned and grown from that fight. I think this will probably be a little bit of a firefight, but I think Terrence McKinney, his pressure will outmaneuver Brendan Marotte. I like that he's 8-1. I think that's awesome, but I agree. I think it looks good on paper, but how does it show when he's in the UFC fighting a high level fighter like Terrence McKinney? And Terrence McKinney's just getting better each time, and I like that. I'm a Terrence McKinney fan, to be honest with you. So I may be a little bit biased. I do think he gets it done inside the distance. That'll be my official pick. So yeah, I think it's an easy bet for anybody to pick Terrence McKinney inside the distance. I think most people would probably gravitate towards that. So in this one, I got Terrence McKinney inside the distance.
All right, cool. Now to our next one, we have in the women's bantamweight division, we got Tainara Lisboa versus Ravina Oliveira. So how I feel about this one right here is I'm going Tainara Lisboa, average confidence to beat Ravina Oliveira. Ravina Oliveira to me just doesn't really like a fully fleshed out fighter. She is like more so a grappler, looks very limited and looks very timid out there. I just don't feel like she's ready for this level. So, going average confidence here to Tainara Lisboa, I think she's showing more improvements in her grappling. She looks more like ready for this level. Showed a well-rounded game in her last fight, and I think she'll continue to show growth. And I think she puts away Oliveira in the second round. I think she's gonna be the stuff to take down, then just chew her up, from distance, leg kicks, jabs, front kicks. He's really mixing up on her and dissecting her through the first round and putting her away second round. So in this one, I have Tainara Lisboa via second round TKO. Now to NickyBets.
Yeah, this is an interesting fight. Tainara Lisboa is 6-2, won 4 of her last 5. She's definitely a decent fighter, but I think the minus 350 seems like way too much to even consider betting on her. I don't think Oliveira is in any way, shape, or form better than Lisboa, but I do think that she'll probably gain some of Lisboa's respect at some point. Maybe she doesn't, but I don't believe she's better, but I do see a little bit of back and forth between the two until Lisboa eventually starts to dominate and break Oliveira down. I think most likely Lisboa wins by decision. I think that's oh, my whole setup just went down. I think that I think Lisboa wins by decision. I'm not minus 350 on that one, but I think you have a pretty good chance of her, showcasing her talents that night. I think over 1.5 is probably live too, but in this one I got Tainara Lisboa in by decision.
All right, cool. Now to our next one, we have in the featherweight division, we got Darren the Damage Elkins versus TJ Brown. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going average confidence TJ Brown to beat Darren Elkins. I just feel like Darren Elkins is his name implied, damaged. With the damage, but he is damaged. He's not the damage. He's damaged. I think he's damaged in this one. He's getting up there in age. He's taking a lot of damage throughout his career, and he's definitely showing. It looks very punch drunk out there. I think the wrestling could be very much issue for TJ Brown. I think in several of his fights he has had issues with wrestling, even though he's supposed to be a wrestler. I've seen that, but I think he should be able to address that in this one. Maybe some issues early on with Darren Elkins with the wrestling, but being able to work his way back to the feet and just be able to take advantage of an easy target as far as Elkins is at this point in his career. Just land shots on him, cut him up, bust him up. And I think he stops him late second round. It's really the ref saving him from himself, like just accumulating damage, leaking, bust up, and not really defending shots properly. Probably like a stand-in TKO for TJ Brown. So in this one, I got TJ Brown via second round TKO. Now to NickyBets.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the fence with this one. Darren Elkins, 27-11, fighting a fighter who's 17-10. Not great records for either guy. He is a good fighter, I think. I think if he gets the takedown after the first round, he can win. And I don't say that confidently, but I think that TJ Brown, technically, his skills and his ability to fight and be the better fighter is definitely apparent. And I don't think Darren is as good as TJ Brown, but I think where TJ Brown lacks is he's very reckless with his striking. He's reckless with his gas tank, which makes this a close fight at a lot of points. Maybe Elkins gets him down and just holds him down for the last two rounds. I think TJ Brown could definitely knock out Darren Elkins, but I don't know the likelihood of that. So I don't want to sit here and pretend like I'm so confident in either fighter. I'm gonna do either TJ Brown by KO, I think is a live bet, and I think money line Darren Elkins is definitely a good bet. But if I have to pick one person, I'm gonna choose the wrestler in this one, Darren Elkins. Let's say by decision.
All right, cool. Nice dog there. All right. Now to our next one, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Christian Rodriguez versus Cameron Saaiman. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going average confidence, Cameron Saaiman to beat Christian Rodriguez here. I think this is a very competitive fight. I definitely think there's avenues for both guys to win here. The grappling department for Rodriguez is definitely an underrated path to victory for him. I've seen not too long ago, Saaiman had a fight, was it against Elsa or one of these guys, and I think he got taken down like it wasn't Elsa. Elsa a different weight class, but it was one of these fighters he fought him not too long ago, and he got taken down multiple times. Had issues there, and I feel like Rodriguez can look to take advantage of that potentially. But regardless, I think this is a very, very close fight. But I think Cameron Saaiman, I think he'll be able to rally late. I think it will be a very competitive fight. I think Christian Rodriguez leading early, mixing in the striking, mixing the grappling, being a little bit sharp, being a little bit more technical on the feet. But Cameron Saaiman being relentless, being tenacious out there, just fighting off pure heart, skill, and giving everything he got in there. And then down the stretch, like third round, probably gets a nice clean shot in there, maybe a drop, and just really steals that round pretty big down the stretch, and wins a close split decision over Christian Rodriguez. That's kind of how I see this one. Close matchup, two young talents, but Cameron Saaiman just doing a little bit more and getting the win, over Christian Rodriguez. So in this one, I got Cameron Saaiman via decision. Now to NickyBets.
Man, I'm super excited about this fight. When you said the names, I was like, yes, I can't wait for this fight. I earned a lot of respect for Christian Rodriguez after the Raul Rosas Jr. fight because I picked Raul Rosas Jr. or at least bet on him, and didn't give Christian Rodriguez the credit of being much older than Raul Rosas Jr., which I think if they were in the same age bracket, I think that it would have been a tough fight. But I think Christian had ways of winning at that point as well. Definitely my favorite fight of the night. And I think there's going to be bonuses going to this one as a fight of the night. I like his patience, especially the way he used it against Raul Rosas Jr. But I definitely agree. I think Cameron Saaiman is the better fighter by this much, not by that much, this much, like nothing. I think they both have ways of winning. They both have ways of achieving what they're looking to do. And I think for Christian Rodriguez, it could be the grappling. And I think for Cameron Saaiman, it's just his technicality and his striking. I like that he's 9-0. I like that Rodriguez is 9-1. But it's going to be a tough one. But I think very close decision or over 1.5 is a good bet. But I do got Cameron Saaiman by decision, and I think over 1.5 is definitely a safe bet because I think both fighters are tough and gritty, and I don't think that they're going to get out there under 1.5 unless a Bobby Green situation happens.
All right. Yeah. Now, next one we got in a catchweight bout at 130 between Edgar Chairez versus Daniel Lacerda. Well, 2 because it's a rematch. Even though the first fight really didn't happen because it was a no contest, but hey, Chairez versus Lacerda 2. How I feel about this one right here. I'm going average confidence. Edgar Chairez to beat Daniel Lacerda. It does have a little bit of weird feeling behind this fight, like their rematch, and maybe Lacerda downloads a second round in him instead of just being a first round fighter, and it changes the whole complexity of this fight. But I'm still going with the same exact prediction I had the first time. Less confidence down for whatever reason, but I am. Yeah, I think Chairez extends Lacerda out the first round. Lacerda has only shown, at least at this level, to be a one-round fighter. I think Chairez is tough. I think he's well-rounded. Also, he's a big fighter just like Lacerda, so it's not a case like Lacerda is getting this advantage of being 130 now, and he's going to be bigger. They're both big flyweights, so they'll both benefit. Maybe Chairez, as a matter of fact, might even be a little bit bigger, so it ain't going to be a case Lacerda gets to come in, better cardio, bigger, and all stuff like Chairez getting the same advantage as well. And, yeah, I still think that he's going to still have that same cardio issue. So I think Chairez is good enough, solid enough to extend him out that first round and then exploit the drop or the pace drop, the cardio drop, and the vulnerability increase and all that stuff in the second round and be able to, pace and push Lacerda and then tap him out in that second round. So in this one, I have Edgar Chairez via second round submission. Now over to NickyBets.
Yeah, I like Edgar Chairez in this one too. His record is decent. He's definitely an aggressive striker and kind of awkward, almost like Alex Morono in a sense. Alex Morono is a little bit more awkward, but he's definitely a great striker. I think that's definitely his bread and butter. He definitely finds his moments and definitely figures out when to go and when to, kind of pump the brakes. He only lands 2.6 punches per minute and absorbs almost 2 more, which is 4.26. So it does leave a lot to be desired as far as I think he does, Edgar wins this one and it's by decision, easy fight. I think a lot of the consensus is that Daniel Da Silva has a shot in this one. He lands 4.16 per minute, but absorbs almost 9 punches per minute, which is crazy. I don't think I've ever seen a fighter that has that high of a punch absorb rate. But I do think there's moments for both the fighters to showcase a win, possibly for Daniel Da Silva. But I definitely got Edgar Chairez in this one. I'm going to say by decision, but I think you're spot on. I would definitely recommend choosing your bet, Edgar, inside the distance. But yeah, that's my official pick, Edgar Chairez by decision.
All right, now to our next one. We have in the middleweight division, we got Michel Pereira versus Andre Petroski. And how I feel about this one right here, I'm going low confidence Michel Pereira to beat Andre Petroski. There's a lot of ifs and buts about this fight because, you got a fighter who spent most of his career at welterweight and his whole UFC career at welterweight. Now he's coming up to middleweight. He spent some time at middleweight outside the UFC before coming to the UFC. And I don't think he had the most stellar middleweight record. And the only real name he fought, or at least recognizable name or standout name they fought at middleweight, was Dusko Todorovic, and he did not look good in that fight. He got stopped. And that might be a reason why he fights at welterweight, not middleweight. It's not like he decided to fight at welterweight because that's just all where he fought. It's just like he just feel like I'm not big at middleweight. I'm not that good at middleweight. So let me go to welterweight where I'll be bigger, stronger, and whatnot. Because he chose it because it was his optimal weight class. So I don't know why he's deciding to move up now. So it's a lot of ifs and buts and confusion about this fight. So my confidence is not going to be high. But I do think he's a much more technical fighter, much more experienced fighter by a lot than Petroski. Pereira got like 50 fights. Petroski got like 8 or 10. So he has much more experience fighting a lot of different levels, a lot of different leagues. He has ups and downs that Petroski just does not have. Petroski has some ups and downs, but you got like only literally like a handful of fights. So I think that would favor Pereira here. And both of these guys have fading issues, but I think the experience that Pereira has will help him, when in those spots where the fight slows down. I feel like when the fight slows down, Petrosi's going to struggle in the spot, just like he struggled against Marotte in the later rounds, because again, don't have the experience. And then on top of that, having cardio issues, like you want to have to struggle in the later rounds with veterans. And I feel like Pereira's going to be able to, take advantage of him in that later round. I think first round going to be Petroski's chance to have the best round, trying to put his muscle on him, trying to wrestle him, trying to land big shots on him and be the, big brother him. But I think Pereira should be able to, use his footwork, land clean counters to gain respect of Petroski, and then take him to the second round. Second round going to be slower, and the third round is really going to be slower, especially on Petroski's side, probably mouth breathing a little bit. I think in that third round, just really Pereira starts to unload on him and picks him apart. I also think he'll have a better gas tank at middleweight. Whereas Petroski, he's not going to come in all of a sudden with phenomenal cardio. He's going to be who he is. He might be a little bit better, but he's going to be who he is. But I expect Pereira, at least in the cardio department, to be a little bit fresher and have a little bit more in the tank at middleweight than he does at welterweight. So down the stretch, I think I think Pereira is able to really take advantage of a tired, gassy Petroski and put him away via TKO late third round. So in this one, I got Michel Pereira via third round TKO. Now over to NickyBets.
Yeah, I definitely like Andre Petroski because he's 10-1. He's 5-0 of his last 5. But I think at times Petroski will have solid moments. I think he might even win the round, probably the first. I definitely agree with that. But I think Michel Pereira, even though he's 28-11, he's had solid wins, but he's also had solid losses to game opponents. So that definitely will play a factor, his experience, I believe, as well. He's definitely surgical, and he definitely is precise when he's throwing his punches and his kicks. He could be a little bit wild when he has to be, but I think he's overall his composure definitely plays a role in him getting his wins. But I definitely think Andre Petroski has the ability to have his moment, but in the end, I see Michel Pereira winning this one. So in this one, I got Michel Pereira inside by decision.
Decision. All right. Now to our next one. We have in the bantamweight division, we got Jonathan Martinez versus Adrian Yanez. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going to Adrian Yanez, low confidence to beat Jonathan Martinez. I think this is a very tough matchup. Martinez has all the momentum right now. Yanez had a lot of steam, but he just got knocked out by Rob Font. So, he's trying to rebuild his team. This is a tough matchup. 2 solid guys, 2 young guys. None of these guys are like, this old veteran. Like, a lot of experience from both guys, but still very young guys. And yeah, a pivotal matchup in this bantamweight division, like that can, maybe determine a future contender or put one of these guys closer to a title shot. So very tough matchup, but I'm going Yanez here. I say Yanez. I'm going Yanez here to win. I feel like Martinez kind of leaves openings on the feet. He's very heavy with the kicks. He kind of square a lot. His chin kind of hangs out there a lot. And I feel like Yanez can exploit that and be able to get inside and land a hook and catch him. But I think it'll be a very competitive fight. I think it'll be issues with the leg kicks of the leg kicks, the Muay Thai kickboxing of Martinez here. Being very long, being very diverse. But I feel like once Yanez really is able to get in and land clean, I think it will shift the fight significantly. I feel like Martinez does not respond very well once he's hurt. I think when he gets hit clean, he's susceptible to getting knocked out. And I think his pace dips and his output dips. And, it's the old school role. Old school, what I'm saying. Everybody got a game plan until they get hit. Or your black belt, then you hit them, they turn to a brown belt, hit them again, they turn to like a white belt, yellow belt, or whatnot. So I feel like that's going to be in this fight. Even though he's not really a grappler, I think it's going to be so, as far as his confidence, his striking, his output, I feel like Yanez is going to be a little bit faster with the hands, a little faster with the feet, or at least the footwork to get in on the inside, and better with the combinations. That's going to be his path to victory. Very competitive fight, but I think Yanez is able to stop him in the second round, catch him. As he's probably trying to load up on a kick or trying to set up a kick, hands are low, catch him over top with like a hook or sneak a hook in there, drop him, then finish him off with some ground and pound. So in this one, I got Adrian Yanez via second round TKO. Now over to NickyBets.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think this is a close fight as well. Jonathan Martinez, he's 18-4, won 5 of his last 5, and I think that is going to play to his benefit. I definitely, like I said, think this is a close fight. I think both fighters are very skilled. I think this is very similar to the Cameron Saaiman Christian Rodriguez fight. I think Yanez is just that much better. I think he just has a little bit more something. I don't know if it's skill. I don't know if it's, smarts, but I think he's just a little bit better. I think Jonathan Martinez is just a little bit behind him. Adrian Yanez is 16-4. He's only 2 fights behind Jonathan Martinez. Won 4 of his last 5. I think Adrian Yanez, he absorbs 1 punch less than he lands. He absorbs 6.75 to 5.89, and I think that he could probably correct that a little bit by just being a little bit more patient. But I think he definitely has the skill to get this done. I'm definitely going Adrian Yanez by decision. That's my official pick. So in this one, I got Adrian Yanez by decision.
All right, nice. Now to our next one, we have in our co-main event in the women's flyweight division, we got Jennifer Maia versus Viviane Araujo. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going average confidence. Jennifer Maia to beat Viviane Araujo. I think it's just a momentum pick, to be honest. I can't be like, oh, this fighter is for sure win stylistic wise and this wise and that wise. And all honesty, this is a momentum pick. And also, Araujo is surprisingly up there in age. I think she's like 37. I think Jennifer Maia is a little bit younger than her, a little bit, but let me double check just to be sure. Like, how is she? Yeah, just a little bit younger. So it's like 88 versus like 87 or 86. Let me make double check. So double check. This thing kind of loading a little bit slow, but anyway, I'm not gonna focus on too much. But yeah, back to the point of this video, back to prediction. No need to look anything up. But yeah, I just think Jennifer Maia has been looking better lately. She's coming off a big win. I don't think she's going to just lose to Araujo, who's losing steam, riding a 2-fight losing streak. I think very close fight for sure. Both women can mirror each other a lot, but I do think Jennifer Maia is tougher. I think she has a sturdier chin, and I think she's been putting out more output on the feet more lately. And I think she can probably defend the takedown better here. And I think right now, I think she's in a better position. So riding the steam of that big win, I think she'll come here motivated, whereas Araujo's come in with her back against the wall. And I just don't think she's going to come in the best version of herself. And I think that's also going to aid Jennifer Maia to win. So I think Jennifer Maia should come in here, very, very close fight. But I just think Jennifer Maia is going to outwork her and be a little bit sharper and be more on point this one, riding the streak and coming in there, especially coming off a big win and coming here, with a fire in her belly. Whereas Araujo's coming here, a little bit still, a little bit demoralized, or a lot of bit demoralized. So yeah, momentum definitely heavy in this one. Going Jennifer Maia to win a decision victory here. So in this one, I got Jennifer Maia via decision. Now to NickyBets.
Yeah, I'm leaning Jennifer Maia in this one as well. Even though she's 21-9, that's not a bad record. She's lost I guess half of the times that she's won. I don't know if that's correct. Don't listen to that. She's won 4 of her last 5. I think that her experience will earn her the victory in this one. She's fighting Viviane Araujo, who is talented. I think they're very close in everything: height, age, skill. But I think Jennifer Maia is just a little bit better in certain areas, and I think that's what will lead her to the victory. I think over 1.5 is a safe bet, but I think Jennifer Maia is just a little bit more technical, which will win her the decision. So in this one, I got Jennifer Maia by decision.
All right, cool. Now to our main event, we have in the featherweight division, we got Sodiq Yusuff versus Edson Barboza. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going average confidence, Sodiq Yusuff to beat Edson Barboza. And really, age plays the biggest factor here, but hey, it was Bobby Green last week who pulled off a big upset. It's been a good year for dogs, so I'm not going here and say, oh, this is the greatest value on the card. I would definitely say, yeah, this is not the greatest value, but maybe in the distance, both these guys are typically finishers, especially Barboza. So you're leaning Barboza or thinking Barboza. this really didn't KO or KO prop. Or so unders and KO props with Barboza if you're dinking him. And really with Yusuff trying the same thing. But if anyone's going to win a decision, typically you're going to have to expect it's going to be Yusuff. But yeah, I think this one doesn't go the distance. But yeah, I'm going to the Yusuff, average confidence to beat Edson Barboza. And again, I'm thinking age is a very big factor. Yusuff is just entering his prime. I think he just turned 30 not too long ago this year. Born in 93, so just turned 30, just hitting his prime, hitting his stride. This is big moment. And it's not like this is a new fight for him. He's been training for this fight like secretly, or really not even secretly, for a long time, because I think they were scheduled to fight like 3 times, like I think 2020, 21. They've been scheduled to fight a lot of times. So this is a fight he's been, eyeing for a long time. This has been a fight he's been wanting. So I'm not expecting him to drop the ball in this fight. It's not a fight, that got announced last week. Like, I'm going to beat this old scrubber. Like, this is a fight against a guy he's very much a respect and very much has had his eye on, and, really like, a dream fight. Like, I watched the guy fight, and I always dreamed of fighting him. And those fights, typically, these fanboys go out and they knock their idol out or the guys, they fans out. Like, they go out and, show them no mercy. But then go out there, get their autograph after, trade some T-shirts, smile, take pictures and whatnot. And I think that's going to be what happens here. I think Yusuff's kicking game is very, his toughness, his durability, at least body-wise. I don't like his chin too much. I don't like the size of his head too much. He's very hittable, and his chin isn't the best. But I think he should be able to press Barboza, and Barboza's chin not the best either at this point, and his defense is not the best either at this point. And I think Yusuff can really surprise Barboza with his kicks, really intercepting, pushing him back, slamming kicks to the body, slamming kicks to the leg, and really getting Barboza to start to overreact to the kicks, which will open the hands up, will open the head up, and open the body up, depending on where he throws the kick or lands the kick. And Yusuff has very heavy kicks. And again, that's going to surprise him. I think that's going to get Barboza thrown off a little bit early. And I think Yusuff presses that and takes full advantage of that and knocks Barboza out early in the first round. Well, not early in the first round. He knocks him out in the first round. Not early, maybe like 4 minutes, like is the winding seconds of that, or winding minute of that first round. But I think it all sets up off his kicks, his jab, and off his kicks, which will really knock Barboza off balance and have him, leave him open to the hooks and open to the hands of Yusuff. And Yusuff has quick hands, and they are heavy. And I think he will be able to kind of do a similar to what Gaethje did type approach to Barboza. Give Barboza to respect your kicks, which will open up the hooks, and he'll press him. And when Barboza is typically pressured, he typically circles with his hands low, kind of similar to what Junior Santos does at heavyweight, or did at heavyweight. And he'll be able to circle to the hook, drop him, and get that first round TKO for Sodiq Yusuff. So in this one, I got Sodiq Yusuff via first round TKO. Not up to NickyBets.
Yeah, I like Sodiq Yusuff in this one as well. He's 13-3, won 4 of his last 5. The loss that he did have was to Arnold Allen, which he outstruck Arnold Allen by over 50 punches. He had more significant double significant strikes. And I think that played a huge factor in him being able to fight someone like Edson Barboza and beat him, because I don't think Edson Barboza is in his prime. I think the odds reflect well, though. I think Sodiq Yusuff's like minus 167 and Edson Barboza's 135. I think you're absolutely right. Playing this like the Bobby Green card, I think if you pick Edson Barboza by KO, I think that could easily hit. The likelihood of that happening is, minus 159, like the odds say. But I definitely think the easiest pick in this one is inside the distance, and you just don't pick a fighter, you just pick that and you parlay it with something else. I think that'll be a safe bet. But in this one, I got Sodiq Yusuff inside the distance.
All right, nice. Now that wraps up our predictions. Down onto the parlays. So for my parlay, I'm going to do Emily Ducote, I'm going to do Irina Alekseeva, and I'm going to do Chairez McKinney. So that's the 3-pick parlay. So we got a nice dog in there, and Alekseeva, which will bring that parlay to a good value. You got Chairez McKinney, and you can make that juicier by doing Chairez McKinney in the distance. Matter of fact, that probably will be the official parlay. So Chairez McKinney in the distance, Irina Alekseeva, and Emily Ducote. So that's 3 parlays. So McKinney in the distance, even at minus 550, I think that's really a good value for McKinney given who he's fighting. But I think going in the distance is going to give me a better value. and probably even first round. But hey, I'm gonna play with that a little bit. But the money line parlay, McKinney, Alekseeva, and Ducote, and you should get that at plus value given the fact that you got 3-pick parlay, and Alekseeva is already at plus money. So that's 3-pick parlay. So one more time, Terrence McKinney, Irina Alekseeva, and Emily Ducote. Now up to NickyBets.
Yeah, I'm all over the place with this card. I definitely got Emily Ducote over 1.5. I think because both fighters have always went to decision in their fights in the UFC, at least, I think that's a really safe bet. I would definitely take Irina Alekseeva. I will say her inside the distance as well. I'm kind of just piggybacking off a couple of yours. Terrence McKinney inside the distance. See who else we got. I want to go Cameron Saaiman over 1.5. I'm definitely going to take that play. And I think I will go as my final pick. I will go not betting on Sadiq Yusuff, not betting on Edson Barboza. I'm going to go inside the distance for this one. So my official picks are, let me just pull up my thing so I don't have to go through that. We got Emily Ducote over 1.5, Irina Alekseeva inside the distance, Terrence McKinney inside the distance, Cameron Saaiman over 1.5. I'll go Michelle Pereira over 1.5 as well. And then the Sadiq Yusuff fight versus Edson Barboza, no money line on either fighter, but inside the distance is part of the parlay.
All right, good. And that wraps up your parlay?
Yep.
All right. So that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.